Welcome to the Sleepwire Show. It is week 8 in the 2019 fantasy football season. My name is Producer Steve, and these next 4 weeks are crucial to getting a playoff bid, especially if you're, hovering around 500, maybe a game or two over. You're looking at those standings saying, man, this team is undefeated, and I'm in the middle with like 8 other teams in my 12-team league. I gotta make a run. So these next 4 weeks, including a lot of buys. Let's go through those real quick here before we get started. Week 8, Dallas and Baltimore are off. 9, Cincinnati, Atlanta, LA Rams, and New Orleans. Week 10 is a killer. New England, Denver, Philly, Washington, Jacksonville, and Houston are all off in Week 10. And 11, Packers, Giants, Seahawks, Tennessee Titans. And then there's even, some more buys in Week 12. Cards, Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, and the Minnesota Vikings. So a lot of good players are going to be having breaks here. We're going to get you through these 4 weeks. I've got the best help in the business. Jason's with us again this week, and so is Max. He's back. You can find Jason if you like what he says and how he looks at teams on Twitter at FL Dr. Milbarge, DRMILBARGE, and on the Sleeper app at BFTG Dr. Mill, DRMIL. Max is on the Sleeper app at SWMax, or maybe it's MaxSW. I don't know. Try both. And on Twitter, do we know Max? Is it MaxSW23? I don't even remember, dude.
It's MaxSW23.
Perfect. All right, guys, we're going to talk about today just some news real quick. There were some injuries and things that happened. Stuff is still kind of coming out as the week progresses, and we'll get more information, I'm sure, on Tuesday and Wednesday. But we're going to talk about some injuries and some fill-ins, and then we're going to go through. There's a lot of ads. If you look at the show notes today, I put a lot of names under the ads just because of all the bye weeks coming up and some key injuries and some more quarterback injuries now to talk about. So there's a lot to go on in terms of ads. Not a lot of drops, I don't think, but there's definitely some buy lows and some sell highs we'll talk about too. But we're going to start with, as we always do, a little NFL news from Week 7 going into Week 8. All right, we'll start with the Vikings. Adam Thielen, after scoring a touchdown, pulled hamstring. They're saying it's not a serious injury. Unlikely to play Thursday against the Redskins. I've heard a little bit of both. Maybe likely to play. Maybe he won't play, so we'll find out later in the week. But we're definitely going to talk about replacements for Thielen because that's a nice matchup. Falcons' Matt Ryan has a sprained ankle. Word is, we hope it's not a long-term thing and more a short-term thing. Ito Smith also carted off the field this week, and DeVante Freeman got ejected. So we're going to talk about the Atlanta running game and how anytime missing Matt Ryan's going to affect that team. Lions running back Kerryon Johnson, this just came out. He will miss some time. So we're going to be talking about replacements for KJ. Texans' Will Fuller's going to miss some time, several weeks as well with a hamstring pull. Dude just can't keep his legs healthy. San Francisco's 49ers wide receiver Marquise Goodwin was evaluated for a head injury. Matt Breida, of course, always getting banged up in the game and coming back. So we'll talk about that. That was a weird game and a lot of rain. AJ Green, blah, blah, blah. We don't know. Maybe coming back, maybe not. We'll see. Chargers season takes another hit. That offensive line again banged up. Guard Forrest Lamp, broken ankle, out for season. So it's panic time in Chargers land, I think. Tennessee Titans' Delaney Walker also got hurt this week. We're going to talk about replacements for tight ends. Baltimore Ravens lost an outside linebacker during the game. I don't know if he's coming back. Arm injury for Fernell McPhee. Let's see. Anything else important? Cowboys defense took a hit. Linebacker Landon Vander Esch suffered a neck injury. We don't know if he's coming back, but that's a very big part of that Cowboys defense. And let's see, who else is coming back? Breeze talking about coming back soon. Cam might be coming back. Kyle Allen's going to start again this week, though, so you can keep riding that train. And Jay Ajayi, probably the news most people are thinking about is Jay Ajayi worked out for the Cardinals, and we'll see if he signs there. Guys, let's start with Jay Ajayi and the Cardinals. So, huge week for Chase Edmonds. And it was kind of like they didn't really tell us what was going on with David Johnson. I think there's more going on. I think he's more hurt than they're letting on. And with Jay Ajayi working out there, that makes me think even more it's time to look for backup plans to David Johnson.
Now, what I've read was that DJ Foster actually had hurt. The third string guy there was hurt, which is why they're trying out Jay Ajayi. I don't know that I buy that. I don't think you bring in somebody like Ajayi if you're just trying to replace the third string guy. Like, I think that does tend to mean maybe David Johnson's a little more hurt than expected. Chase Edmonds is going to get a more featured role, and you need somebody with a decent amount of experience to cover. But like the news coming out is it's got a lot to do with DJ Foster.
Yeah, but you're not gonna pay Ajayi what he wants to be a third stringer.
Right.
Doesn't jive right there. Max, you said before the show that you hope that he doesn't sign with Cardinals. Why is that?
There really isn't a role for him there, and it'd kind of be a waste of money and talent because once David Johnson's back, he's getting his job back. Edmonds is killing it right now. For him, his talent could be used elsewhere, like Washington. Peterson really isn't getting it done, even with the rumors that Geis is on his way back. And then, Kieran Johnson going down, Detroit could use a running back. Or the Buffalo Bills. They're just teams that need a starting running back or at least a strong number two, and his talent would be wasted, and so would their money, unless David Johnson's a lot more hurt than we think.
All right. So that being said, I mean, a lot of people added Ajayi when news came out that he was returning and he was working out and getting ready to meet teams. If he's still available on waiver wires, is he an ad for you this week, or are there more pressing issues, more impressive players? Because he still seems like kind of a flyer. He's not signed yet either, so let's keep that in mind.
I've been holding Jay Ajayi for a while. He's definitely an ad, but he's not a waiver priority.
Yeah, I think there isn't a lot of running back talent. I'm looking at all of your ads. There's not a lot of running back talent there per se. Mark Walton, and he plays for Miami. So, if you're desperate at running back, it's not a bad pickup if you have somebody that you can drop, and there's a handful of drops this week. But I don't see him as an ad, especially since he's not on a team yet.
Yeah. It's one of those guys too, like Max said, stash him, and if news comes out that he doesn't sign in Arizona and he lands somewhere maybe that looks like a great situation, that might even have some trade value. Just somebody who's really hurting at running back, the KJ owner or something like that, where they're struggling, or the Mixon owner or something. They may bite on a trade, and you might not get a lot for him, but you might get something. Also, another guy that might be out on waivers, Kareem Hunt. A lot of people maybe have held him all season, but I think at some point they probably took enough injuries or had enough bye weeks that they had to drop him. Is he a priority ad? Because he's coming back. He's cleared to practice with the team. I don't know what kind of role he's going to have, but I think maybe worth a stash.
I was going to say no, and I don't think so because Nick Chubb is the guy there. Now, they may try to use Kareem Hunt and spell him with Nick Chubb, kind of get a Crowell Duke Johnson look again. But Kareem Hunt is the kind of asset where if they can ship him out before the 29th, they should really ship him out before the 29th. They're pretty set at running back, and I mean, you can see the run game that KC has without him. Kareem Hunt was a real game changer.
Well, so I think you and I have flip-flopped from the beginning on the season. So now we're moving into week 8. We're getting to the point where I think he is an ad, whereas at the beginning of the season I said don't draft him. He can't play till I think week 10, maybe week 11 because of the bye. I can't remember how that ended up being, but we're getting late enough now where it's only a couple games to stash. So if you've made it through your bye weeks, or you're looking good through your bye weeks and you have space, I'd say pick him up. Not because I think he's going to take Nick Chubb's role there, but he could be a third down back for them because Nick Chubb isn't a third down back.
I really like the idea that they trade him. That would just be fantastic. Maybe get an offensive lineman or some help that they need. But I'm stashing him right now if he's available. I think he's got name value still. Somebody will grab him. Let's move on to some ad drops, buy sells. That's going to be a large portion of the show today because there's just so much stuff going on with all these bye weeks. I think a lot of people are looking to fill holes for the next few weeks. So let's get into that right now. I want to start with clearly the most obvious ad this week, if you didn't get him last week, which I think a lot of us suggested. Chase Edmonds flashed a couple weeks ago with DJ kind of banged up. What a game he had. You might not have started him, but if you did, because you had to, you were well rewarded. If he's out there, grab him. That's all I'm going to say. Other guy I like, and then I'll let you guys have it. A.J. Brown from the Titans. So Corey Davis had the big game, 6 of 80 and a touchdown. But Brown saw more targets, caught 6 for 64. And that team's offense looks slightly revitalized with Tannehill under center. So I think with the Titans having somewhat of an easier pass defense schedule coming up, I think A.J. Brown is a very good add if you need wide receiver for the bye weeks. Max, who you got for ads this week? Who do you like?
So my number one ad is going to be Ty Johnson. I think he's a great ad for the Lions. Everyone's kind of saying McKissick, especially in PPR, is the guy you want. But Ty Johnson did have some catches. He's definitely going to be the early downs back. And McKissick, he couldn't get it done in the past. I don't see it really happening now. You know, the Lions are kind of going all cylinders, so he's someone I'm really targeting this week.
I want to keep it on the Lions for a second here because Marvin Jones Jr., obviously, gigantic game. Another guy, Jason, I think you mentioned him before the show. You were kind of forced to start him, and he rewarded you well. Is anyone going to buy Marvin Jones? He's been wildly inconsistent this year. Had a couple huge games, and then he sort of disappears. I think the real value, if you want to look at Lions players to look at and see a value in, besides Ty Johnson, is Kenny Golladay. I think people kind of forgot about him, and he hasn't seen less than, I believe, 8 targets throughout the whole season. So for me, if you could trade for Golladay off the back of this, huge day, plus the Lions just kind of looking like who knows what, losing 2 tough games, that's the guy I want.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a definite buy low candidate, especially coming off this bad game. I do have Marvin Jones almost everywhere because I bought into the hype that he was going to be 1B to Galladay's 1A. And, probably by the end of the season, he might be pretty close, but it's only because he's had a couple of really big games and then he disappears. So if I can go buy Galladay today for not a lot, I'm going to get him.
I agree with that. I got one more ad, actually, if I can hop in here real quick. Same game. It's actually on Minnesota side of the ball. So Thielen is more hurt than we know or is going to miss some significant time. I'm going to struggle to say this name.
Olabisi.
Olabisi Johnson.
Not the guy from Oz. Not Adabisi.
Yeah. But Johnson had 8 targets, 4 receptions, 40 yards. He's clearly the next one up. Kirk Cousins is looking good. Oh. And, I'd want a piece of that wide receiving core, even as a rental,
Yeah, I know. It makes sense. And, another question I had about Minnesota was maybe looking at the tight ends. They were both involved this week, but looking deeper into it, they haven't really targeted the tight end, either one of them, Irv Smith Jr. or Rudolph, very much at all this year. And when you say Cousins is looking really good, I'm waiting for the boat to sink or tip over and start taking on water because I'm just afraid Cousins is going to suddenly not look good.
But the thing with the Vikings is because they have such a great established run game, I imagine Cousins is going to continue to look good because you have to respect that run. If you don't, you're going to get hurt.
They're starting to find a little bit of a balance, too. Early in the season, it was run, and then make Cousins throw only when he has to. They're starting to find a little bit of balance. It does hurt that Thielen's out, likely for Thursday's game, but if you're talking about Cousins in a secondary he's going up against, the next 3 weeks is the Redskins, Chiefs, Cowboys. Pretty lax secondaries there. So I like the passing attack for the Vikings the next 3 games, and I'm going to butcher the name, but I'll say Olabisi, right? Yep. 8 targets, and if you I was forced to watch that game because it was one of the only games on in my market. As soon as Thielen went out, he got hyper-targeted in the end zone because he's a big guy. Yeah. So I like his opportunity there, but we'll just see it. He's a rental at best because Thielen will eventually be back, and he's a 1 or 2 week get you through the bye week kind of guy.
Yeah. And view him like Diggs, where it's you expect a decent floor, but that high ceiling is a boom or bust thing because Diggs is going to step into the Thielen role.
Yeah, let's talk about Diggs too. And I don't want to keep it on the Vikings the whole game, but or the whole show. But last week we talked about why would you sell Diggs? Everyone's screaming, sell Diggs after his huge 3-touchdown game. And now he had another good game. Sell Diggs. Why are you selling players that are playing well? I don't understand that philosophy. Keep Diggs. Like we're saying, the team is finally finding a flow here. Cousins might be a quarterback that's on waivers. With the matchup on Thursday against, Washington, is he somebody you'd fill in this week if you're missing Dak or Lamar Jackson? Are you going with Cousins? He's feeling pretty good.
I started Cousins this week. He was amazing.
Yeah, I start him. He's a good weekly flex. Or, sorry, not flex. He's a weekly stream.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Andy Dalton, another quarterback here. The best running back on the Cincinnati team, as far as I can tell recently. Is he an ad if you need help at quarterback this week?
I don't. No. I had their schedule up. So the nice thing about Andy Dalton is that their team's always behind, so he has to throw. So your first half, you're sweating bullets. You look at him in the first half, you got 1 or 2 points, and by the end of the game, you're over 20 and you're where you want to be. So it works out okay in the end, but man, you put yourself through a lot to get there. They've got the Rams, the Ravens, the Raiders, the Steelers, the Jets, and the Browns coming up. So it's hot and cold as far as like what teams you'd want to start them against. I don't think I'd want to start them against the Rams with Jalen Ramsey. I don't think I'd want to start them against the Ravens, but the Raiders probably.
Jalen Ramsey? You're talking about Jalen Ramsey and not Aaron Donald? I'd be more worried about Aaron Donald.
Well, listen, it's a nasty combo.
Yeah.
And not only that, right after that, he goes against Peters with the Ravens, and the Ravens just shut down Russell Wilson.
Well, it's not even so much secondaries that are hurting him. It's pass rushes that are hurting him. I mean, that
offensive line is trash.
He targeted.
Do you guys want me to go into an offensive line rant right now with
yes,
every
please.
other episode?
I love it.
All right, good. GMs, get your heads out of your ass. Offensive line is more important than literally anything else on your team. Literally anything else on your team. If you have a bad O-line, you're going to lose every game. There's a reason KC wins games, even with a terrible defense. It's because that O-line protects their quarterback, and they score on every drive when Mahomes is healthy. Thank you.
All right, well, let me get into Cincinnati for a minute here because the offensive line is the story every damn week. It has been forever. Last week, I was just about ready to hit the bail button on Joe Mixon. This week, I'm even more ready to hit the bail button. Yeah, the touchdown, but what did he get? 2 yards, 10 rushes for 2 yards? Or something like that? I mean, it's to the point
it's bad enough. It's bad enough that leagues have made him droppable. Most leagues have it where you can't drop your top picks.
Yeah, your first rounders.
They finally made it so he is droppable, which is it's sad. It's because he is like you can watch him run, and when he has a little space, he's talented. It's just he's getting no space. He's getting hit before he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, you also have to remember who he is, and like for me this week, I have Darrell and Damian Williams for KC. I'm dropping Damian Williams, and he was a second-round pick for me.
Yep.
I also have Mixon on that team. I'm keeping Mixon because I think Mixon is just the better talent, and I expect the bigger boom plays out of him. If someone's going to explode for me and my running core is a little hurt, Mixon's going to be the running back who has the potential to explode.
Yeah, but is explode or not, like you can't feel good starting him anymore. Like he was.
Yeah, but who are you going to start?
Well,
that's the thing. If you drafted Mixon,
yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people draft 4 running backs, and if you were like me and you got Duke, Damian, and Mixon, you're kind of screwed. So Mixon is the best of all 3 of those, and he's the best, has the most opportunity. He's still going to get goal line carries. And that's
no,
what you
he's
have
not.
To hope for.
He's not going to get goal line carries.
Clutching your seat and riding.
No, he's not getting goal line carries. Andy Dalton's taking the goal line carries for himself.
Well, and let's face it too. They're an awful offense, so it's not like there's a lot of goal line carries to go around. Yeah. So even if Mixon gets every goal line carry available for that team, it doesn't add up to much of anything.
Right.
Would you trust Mixon or Damian Williams?
I would trust Damian Williams, I think.
I would trust Damian Williams, and it's not because of talent; it's because of team.
Yep.
Like I have a feeling that I have a better feeling that the Kansas City Chiefs can figure out how to use a worse talent in Damian Williams than the Cincinnati Bengals can actually turn it around and make Mixon relevant again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just do think that the talent behind Damian Williams with LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams are better than Damian. And in about a week, you're going to see Damian lose his job.
Oh, my goodness. Let's talk about Alex Erickson, 14 targets for Cincinnati, same as Boyd got. Last week it was Auden Tate. This week it's Alex Erickson. A.J. Green coming back maybe week 10. Maybe they give him till after the bye. Still, I'm not buying or trying to add any pieces to Cincinnati. Like, it's just the most desperation. I would have to have ultimate desperation to play any Cincinnati players, I think, at this point, unfortunately. If I had to add Alex Erickson, I mean, that's not high on my list, right?
That's a deep, deep league.
No.
Yeah, deep. All right, let's talk about DeVante Parker, who scored in 3 straight games. I never really liked the guy. I never thought he really wanted to play football. But when you look at Miami and now you got Fitzmagic there and he likes to throw it, DeVante Parker is in the conversation for possible waiver ads, I think.
And he's an ad. He's the best talent Miami has. He's the only real viable option they have to throw to. I mean, I'd add him. I'm pretty sure Miami has a pretty easy run coming up. So use him for a few weeks and see what you got.
So they've got the Steelers, the Jets, the Colts, the Bills, the Browns, the Eagles.
Those are all, minus the Eagles, those are pretty good defenses.
So after
I'd
he
say Jets, Bills, Eagles, or Jets, Bills.
So after he plays the Bills, he's got the Browns and the Eagles, then the Jets, the Giants, and the Bengals. So like he's got down the stretch, it's a deep stash, and you're holding him for a long time. But for week 15, 16, championship weeks, like Jets, Bengals is a pretty tasty championship weekend.
Could DeVante Parker win you a fantasy football championship this year?
So here's the thing, and I talked to some guys who get that all 32 and watch, they love the Dolphins and they watch the teams play, and they swear to me, and I won't go and watch it because I won't torture myself that way. They swear to me that when you actually watch DeVante Parker run a route, he's open a lot. Yeah. And they've just had a really, they had Tannehill. They've just had a really bad stretch of like offensive line and quarterbacks that couldn't get him the ball. And like I said, I won't go do that to myself because I care about my well-being way more than that. So I won't go watch it, but I'll take their word for it. Like they swear to me that DeVante Parker is open a lot.
Yeah, no, I know there's no doubt he's a talented, like athletically talented and a good football player. It's always been a matter of motivation, I guess, for me. That just and just ability to make good catches or like really hustle. I've always seen a lack of hustle, but maybe he's turning it around and he's trying to be the superstar. Preston Williams is another guy who's getting a lot of targets on that team too. If you're in PPR league,
he's got a decent floor.
Yeah, he does have a nice safe floor. Little bit like Cole Beasley. I don't want to get Max started on Cole Beasley too soon here. Let's keep it with wide receivers real quick. With Devontae Adams out again, it was the MVS show, but you also got Kumaro and Lazard. Lazard was a big ad because he kind of flashed last week, but Kumaro was the more useful one. Are you going out and adding any Green Bay Packers, either of these guys, just in a desperation for bye weeks coming up because they've all kind of been proven to be usable, not great, but usable?
So I think it's tough because there are so many mouths to feed there. It's so many average mouths to feed, and you don't know if it's going to be Lazard or Kumaro. You don't know if Allison's going to pick up and have a game. So right now, MVS and then Adams, obviously, once he gets back, is about the only thing I want out of there. Maybe Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, okay.
Well, see, I have to disagree. I would also add Lazard. On the sole fact that he actually ran, I want to say it was 85%. He was on the field for 85% of snaps and ran 2 more routes than any other receiver on the team. Now, his production wasn't there. That's because he's the only one who didn't get a touchdown. But they clearly trust him, and I think he's might be surpassing Allison. as the number 3 on that team. So next week, the number 2.
Yeah, but I think my problem with that is specifically, when Adams is on the field, you saw they could only maintain a second wide receiver. 1 week it was MVS, 1 week it was Allison, the next week it was MVS, and the next week it was Allison. When Adams comes back, Lazard's going to be at best the third guy, and then they haven't been able to sustain a third wide receiver. So that's my only issue there.
Oh, I agree, but it's just until Adams is back.
All right. Yeah, and then run game's been pretty effective too. I mean, you were adding Williams after kind of a big week last week, and he proved to still get you some value. Although it seems like if Aaron Jones doesn't fumble, he's still the main guy for the job.
Well, I'm still starting Williams every week. He's honestly a flex option.
Yeah, definitely
at this point.
Flex. Yeah, definitely.
And then if Jones fumbles, then he's an RB2.
Right. Let's bounce around a little bit more quarterback talk. Tannehill and Fitzpatrick, obviously two possible quarterback fill-ins with Matt Ryan maybe missing a few weeks. Obviously, Pat Mahomes, we didn't even really talk about that, but we can talk about it now with him maybe missing a few weeks. It's still kind of murky when he wants. I know he wants to come back soon, but we don't know when he's going to come back. So if you're, still hurting Tannehill, Fitzpatrick, which one would you choose for a bye week fill-in or injury fill-in?
If I have to pick
Tannehill.
Between these two, it's Tannehill.
Okay, I agree.
But I'll take Matt Moore over either one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, on the Chiefs, I'll take Matt Moore. Matt Moore surprisingly was competent with bad teams, and now you're giving him a week of practicing with the ones, surrounded by talent and a coach that knows how to scheme. I'm not saying go out and get Matt Moore over any other option, but if you're saying Matt Moore, Tannehill, or Fitzpatrick, I'm saying Matt Moore.
I actually agree with that. The talent around him was so good, and Matt Moore isn't a bad quarterback. He's not great, but he's not bad.
So Fitzpatrick's just on a bad team, and Tannehill, he looked better with the Titans than Mariota did, but that's not setting the bar super high.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Chiefs real quick because I know a lot of people are freaking out about Matt Moore taking over. And, Max, you kind of alluded to it. You'd say, you're dropping Damian Williams. Is it time to bail on the usability of Hardman, of Robinson, of Pringle, of all those other wide receivers that not named Tyreek Hill?
No. So I do think it really depends. So you're going to have Robinson as your number 2. Or no, did Hardman pass him yet on the depth chart?
I don't think so. But, does it really matter, depth chart?
I think it doesn't really matter, but I think you're going to see a lot more classic-style offense, a lot more Patriot-esque, because the Patriots really do run a classic, whereas if you're early downs, you're going to run it, and then you're going to throw it on third. So people are going to be hurt. It's going to hurt everyone, but what I think is going to happen is the run game's actually going to improve. That being said, I think Damian's the weakest running back.
Okay.
But if you're looking at just wide receivers, I think Pringle as a slot is still going to be all right. Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. He's going to be great no matter what. And then your boomer busts are going to be the Hardman and Robinson. Last week it was Hardman. This week it was Robinson who did well. So it's really hard to tell who it's going to be there. I probably wouldn't want to own or start either of them.
Yeah, I think I have a crazy take that this actually kind of helps Hill a little bit. And it sounds crazy, Mahomes not being on the team helping Hill, but Matt Moore, like I said, he's good, not great, and he's gonna hit his best weapons more often than not. He's not gonna be able to go through his progressions or make those crazy throws that Pat Mahomes makes. So that's gonna lead to very specific routes for your best players. And so you're gonna see an uptick with Kelsey, and I think you might see an uptick with Hill. Before Pat Mahomes left that game, Hill had 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards, 0 catches. And then after he left, he had a touchdown and a couple more catches. So I think you have to fade Hardman and Robinson and Hill and Kelsey, at least in PPR where targets and catches go up, touchdowns go down.
Okay, I want to go back to the Titans real quick here with Delaney Walker getting hurt. He's been banged up before. Jonnu Smith seems like the guy to fill in. If your tight end needy during the bye weeks, Jonnu Smith make a decent choice, do you think?
In good matchups.
In good matchups. Let's put him in let's put him in a group maybe like let's say Jonnu Smith, Rhett Ellison, Goddard. Who do you like out of those? Maybe the Vikings tight ends?
Probably Goddard or Rudolph, just because Tannehill, who was Miami's tight end? He never really targeted them. He's not really known to use them. But I don't know. I'd probably look elsewhere before I looked for the Titans' backup tight end.
So Jonnu Smith playing against the Buccaneers is not a bad play. After that, it's the Panthers, the Chiefs, the Jags, and the Colts. So his schedule's not bad after the Panthers, but honestly, Goddard is my number one there. But Jonnu Smith against the Bucs, who seem to have trouble stopping everything in the past, but especially tight ends, that's not a bad play.
Okay. All right. Knock that off the list.
The Buccaneers also seem to have a knack for making backup quarterbacks or second-string quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I guess so. Tannehill's got some experience playing against them too, doesn't he?
He does.
Let's talk Colts real quick. Zach Pascal put on a performance this week. Is he a guy you're rushing out to get? Is he top of your waiver list?
I want to say no, but this isn't the only week he's looked good.
Yeah.
So as much as I want to say no, like if this was his one-off, like the last time I'd said no, this time I'm looking a little closer. If I miss some of these other guys and Pascal's still there, he's definitely a second choice.
Is he like a Wednesday morning pickup, not necessarily a Tuesday waiver ad kind of guy? Like you're not burning a waiver on him?
Well, so here's what he is. I'm 7th or 8th in waiver priority anyway.
Yeah.
So the guys I really want to pick up probably got picked up. So I'm putting in my waivers for the guys I really want. But then he's my second or third option. And if it actually makes it to me and I get him, I'm happy.
All right. Let's talk Atlanta real quick too. If no news yet that I haven't heard, or maybe you guys know better, but I haven't heard that Freeman's not facing a suspension yet. But if he does, Ito Smith was hurt. It's going to fall on Brian Hill and Quadre Olison. I don't know too much about either of these guys. Have you seen anything that makes you like one more than the other? Atlanta's a team that I kind of want to actually get out of right now. They're not looking good, but there's got to be some fantasy value in one of these guys, right?
If I remember correctly, Hill actually showed flashes in the preseason of actually being pretty consistent, even though then I was saying Ito Smith was going to be the starter. So he's probably the one I'd want to target. I'm just trying to look up real quick what the usage was once DeVante Freeman threw the punch.
I think Hill got all the work. I don't think Olison was even in.
Yeah, Hill got all the work. So it looks like they're going to be trusting him right off the bat. 2 receptions for 14 yards, 5 for 11. Not great, but they were getting beat up that entire game. And right now is probably the best time to buy the Falcons players because I don't think Ryan will be hurt that long. Julio's still Julio.
Yeah.
Mohamed Sanu might get dropped.
Yeah.
DeVante Freeman, you could honestly probably give away next to nothing for him.
Yeah. You want me to tell you why you don't buy any of their running backs?
Yes.
I'm a schedule guy, right? Like I've become the schedule guy.
Yeah.
Seahawks, Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Saints, Panthers, 49ers, Jaguars. There's one team in there that you can start against, the Buccaneers, and they're number 1 against the run. You don't want any of their running backs.
Yeah, but that being said, though, with the Seahawks, their D-line's great. Saints have a stout defense, but honestly, I'm not that worried about their D-line. The 49ers, Adrian Peterson had 81 yards. Smallwood had 23 yards. The 49ers can get rushed on.
Well, but you're talking about week 15, and we're going into week 8. So you're looking at the Saints twice, who just shut down the Bears. You're looking at the Seahawks with a good front. The Buccaneers have the number 1 rush defense, and the Panthers against the run are not bad.
I understand that. We're also talking about a team that's the way they're playing right now is very, very unordinary. They are a talented team. They are a pass-first, pass-heavy team. That is what they are. So if by week 15 they're back to where they want to be, which is a pass-first team, that's going to open up running lanes, and they have the talent there. So if I can get Devonta Freeman right now for, I mean, I would say Chase Edmonds because he's a backup, but maybe Carlos Hyde, or even if I had Rashad Penny
Carlos Miller.
and
Carlos
I went
Hyde
to the
Miller.
Chris Carson owner and said, "Hey, Devonta's, yeah, Carlos Hyde Miller." But if I had Rashad Penny, or if I had one of those nice backups, and the owner of like Chris Carson had Devonta Freeman, I'd be like, "Hey, you give me Freeman, I'll take that risk. Here's Penny in case Carson gets hurt." And honestly, with where they are right now, that trade could go through.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and I'm for sure selling all their running backs, and I would like to sell all their wide receivers not named Julio.
Let's take that as a team that Max thinks is playing poorly that you can buy. Jason says get out of it. Let's talk about more teams and players that you want to buy or get out of, and teams. We're going to start with the team that I think concerned me the most last night. Losing to the Cowboys in spectacular fashion. Philadelphia. Is this a team I want to buy right now? Like, you could buy parts of Philly at probably an all-time low. Especially quarterback, especially that run game. Is it a piece of a team that you even want? Very similar to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Like, we think it's a very talented roster. We think it's got good coaching. But they are not performing the way we expected. So is it something that you even want to get into? Max?
Yes, you do. I mean, Nelson Aguilar, you probably picked him off the wire. I don't trust him. Zach Ertz is Zach Ertz. He's someone you need to trust. This was
You can?
kind of like hold on. This was kind of like when the Pats play the Bills. The Bills always play the Pats extremely hard. Cowboys always play the Eagles extremely hard. This was very, very odd because I remember looking at the stat line at about halftime. Alshon Jeffrey hadn't even had a target yet. That's not normal. I think the O-line for the Eagles was just bum rushed, and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't get their head straight, and they were playing on their heels the entire game. I think they'll get right. Jordan Howard, I like that he got 11 carries, 50 yards. He got targeted in the pass game. He looks like their guy going forward, so if you can get him cheap like I did, go for him, that's fine. Alshon, I mean, I want Alshon, but it really depends on what the owner's going to want, because he's actually been pretty consistent week in, week out. This is his first really bad week. Zach Ertz, I mean, I picked up Hunter Henry off the wire. I'd start Hunter Henry over him. But if I'm the Delaney Walker owner, there's no one really on the wire, and the Zach Ertz owner also has Hunter Henry, or also has a replacement for Zach Ertz, maybe target him, lowball him, try to get him. Because Ertz has the potential to be the number one tight end, or the top 5 tight end in the league. So there is talent there, and it's extremely good talent. This game, I just feel like they were playing on their heels the entire time.
Well, they were. I mean, they gave up 2 fumbles right off the bat, so they were already down 2 touchdowns, and they completely abandoned the running game. And I think that's where they matched.
That's not their style.
Well, that's where they matched up the best against the Cowboys. They just weren't able to use it. So you're looking at their running backs and thinking, geez, what, can I even trust these guys anymore? You're saying, yeah, they're talented. Buy them now. I think I agree with you. I think now is the lowest you're going to get any Eagles. But that was my question. Do I even want to? Jason, are you into the Eagles right now?
No, I honestly think they're going to get lower. Wow. They've got the Bills, the Bears, and the Patriots the next 3 weeks. I think depending on when your trade deadline is, you want to wait till so if the way I like to play it is I like to do it a week ahead. So I'm buying them the week they're playing the Patriots for almost nothing because they're playing the Patriots, especially after coming off a game against the Bills, which is a good secondary, and the Bears. Listen, the Eagles, we keep thinking maybe they're okay, but the teams they've beaten, other than the Packers, they beat a good Packers team, but they beat the Redskins week 1, but got down big time in that game. They lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Lions. They beat a Jets without Sam Darnold. They lost to the Vikings, and they got crushed to the Cowboys. They're not a good team. The teams,
yeah, but we have to admit The Lions are playing on a different level this year. Minnesota is playing on a truly different level this year. And against Minnesota, which is a very stout defense, Philly put up a decent line. Like they really did.
I
Now
mean, they
getting
lost.
smashed, like, losing to Atlanta was bad. That was just one of those like, all right, you guys got to outplay. Losing this way to the Cowboys, it was rough to watch. That game like made me cringe. I expected them to do a lot better, but they're playing hard. This is the first game they didn't really play hard. The Bills, I think they can out scheme. The Pats are the Pats. The Pats are unstoppable this year. It's crazy. But I'm not afraid of the players, and I don't think they're going to get much worse. And because they're on the Eagles and they're viewed as such a high talent team, their asking price isn't going to drop that much.
So
Like for where it is right now.
the reason I don't give up on them and I actually buy them after the tough schedule is they have the Dolphins, the Giants, and the Redskins left to play, even the Cowboys in the secondary at home. So I think towards the end of the season, if you have some of these guys on your team, you're in good shape. I just think now is not the time to buy them. I think you buy them right before their lowest, which to me is the Patriots game, and then upward trend.
Okay. Let's talk about Keenan Allen, who's been on a downward trend. If you're playing in standard scoring, he has been very, very, very bad for you. Under 10 points in 5 of 7 games so far in standard, 6 or lower in 4 of those games. If you're in PPR, he's still been under 10 points in 4 of 7. So more than half the games, he is not even getting 10 points for you. And I've kind of been watching him trend down. I've been saying to buy him. I don't know if this is the last chance you do get to buy him. Do you want to buy him? Chargers, as a team, seem to be confused and not playing well. And Phillip Rivers doesn't look great. And Melvin Gordon doesn't look great. And the offensive line is hurt. And I just don't know if the Chargers can fix things for Keenan Allen to become a wide receiver 1 again this season outside of maybe a couple of games. Like, is he somebody you're buying right now, or are you just like, you know what, let the team that has him sink with him?
The only way they're fixing things is if they trade away Melvin Gordon for a lineman. They are a team that shows all the talent in the world. You can't keep Phillip Rivers on his feet. They can't perform. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm buying him anymore. He is a second half of the season kind of guy, though. I think that happens every year where he starts slow and he picks up towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I buy it this year. They just look a little bit lost. There's other end zone targets there now. If Hunter Henry can stay healthy, if Mike Williams can get healthy, the touchdown percentage for Keenan Allen drops. So then you're just hoping he catches a bunch of balls for a bunch of yards, but they're not throwing it for a lot of yards. And they're confused what they're doing in the run game. So Melvin Gordon, 2 fumbles on the goal line. It's just and they gave it to him at the end instead of Eckler, who got them there.
Yeah.
It's the whole team just looks confused with what they're doing, and I don't want to buy into that.
It's almost like they're trying to force Gordon back into what they had been doing before he was playing, which I think was working, and they haven't. Maybe it's the offensive line issues too. Like they haven't really. They were working well with Eckler, and now they're like, okay, Melvin Gordon, here's what we've been doing. Get in there and do it, and it's not looking good. I'm actually okay, and I kind of really hesitated to start Austin Eckler this week, and I'm glad that I did because I hadn't really used him properly, or at least the way that we had expected to, the previous week. And with this week, him being such a good target for receptions, I really, really hope that he's going to be usable that way for the rest of the season. But Chargers as a team, I'm getting out of right now. I'm not liking it right now. But it might be too late to get out. I don't know. Like you've invested high draft picks in Keenan Allen, and it's hard to get away from that.
Well, Keenan Allen's the kind of guy you could probably trade for Alshon. And it's rough because you're right. They had an identity with Melvin Gordon, which was like downhill running, going to pound it in your face. With Eckler, they became a different team and a team that really worked well. And they're trying to become that run-first team again, but it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have the O-line to do it. They really should go back to pre-Eckler, or pre-Melvin Gordon, back to that scat back offense they were running because it was working for them. And until they do, you can't sell, but I definitely wouldn't buy unless it's maybe Hunter Henry.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard buy to make. A couple other guys that had some down weeks that I think you could buy. Ronald Jones remains a buy for me. I mean, just another running back talent, and he's looked a lot better this year. So with the bye week now, maybe somebody wants to get rid. That's a hard one. Terry McLaurin, that's a hard buy just because he's been so good. But bad week, bye week coming up in a few weeks here. What week is Washington? Week 10, which is a really, really heavy bye week, as I mentioned at the top of the show. So it's possible somebody might want to, get a couple of pieces for one. Evan Ingram's had a couple of tough games. He's just too talented, though. If you can get him now's the time. Max, you were talking a little bit before the show about Singletary, and he came back this week off of injury with premium matchup. Didn't do a lot. Frank Gore saw more touches, but this guy showed a lot of pop and a lot of zip before the hamstring injury. Is he somebody you might go out to get? Because I feel like he could take over the Bills' backfield towards the end of the season and be really, really valuable.
See, he's a guy that, in theory, you want to target because do I think he'll take over the backfield? Yes. But earlier, I compared him to Thomas Rawls, where his heart is bigger than his body. He runs hard. He runs aggressive. I don't think his body can handle it. And I actually said Bills are one of the candidates for Jay Ajayi. I think they could use him. He tore his ACL, but he's healthy now. He's not really a injury-ridden running back, and he can do it all. Singletary would be a really, really nice backup for them. And that's what he should be. He should be the change of pace back because I just don't see him staying healthy. He runs too hard. But that's me.
Jason, any thoughts on Devin Singletary?
Oh, I other than apologizing for the fans for saying to start him so much this week, it was.
I don't think you don't need to apologize for that. I mean, it was a premium matchup, and he's shown that he's very explosive. I mean, I started him.
That was tough. I recommended him a lot. I still believe in the talent. His schedule is not bad going forward. He's a guy I want to buy, but you can buy him pretty cheap now because coming off the injury and not playing well, he seems like a guy you could get relatively cheap. So I do buy him. But man, this week was a tough one because, like you said, premium matchup, and he didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, another guy kind of maybe in the same breath we could talk about is David Montgomery. Same thing, kind of like we've seen a lot of talent, really bad week. I think things will get better later in the season. That's another late season guy. I think you can maybe trust a little bit more. So maybe he's on your target list too. Either of you guys, let's start with Max. Any other buys that you're looking at who, guys have been not performing well that you think you could get in a trade pretty easily?
Well, I was going to say Allen Robinson until this week.
Yeah.
But he had a fantastic week, and that's the plus side of Mitch Trubisky coming back. The Bears are going to lose every game because Mitch is terrible, but he throws the ball a million times to Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
He was mentioned last week, and he's probably off the wire right now. But Philip Dorsett, he's really coming in to be the Patriots' number 2.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see. Gordon's hurt, so I don't know how long this will last. But for as long as it does, he's establishing himself as a very, very solid wide receiver option.
Okay. Jason, anybody you were buying besides the guys we talked about already?
Well, I am still trying to get DeVante Adams. It's going to take a lot, but he's been hurt the last couple weeks, and if the team's desperate, if you've got a team that's 2-4 right now and getting ready to looking at 2-5 actually, because we're coming off of week 7 into week 8. If you're 2-5 right now and DeVante Adams isn't helping you on the bench, I'm looking to buy DeVante Adams wherever I can get him. I got him in a couple spots for not a lot, honestly, because there's some desperate teams. So he's a guy I'm looking at. Chris Carson had average games, and he's another guy I'm looking to buy because he's, they've shown that they're not going to penny. And so Carson is getting the volume you want to see. So I'm buying Chris Carson where I can get him.
Let's talk about some sells. I've already harped about don't sell Stephon Diggs. Why? Do you guys agree with me, or do you actually think you should sell Stephon Diggs right now? Do you think you can get a lot for him, or do we just better off hanging on to him?
I think you're not going to get his value because he's been so inconsistent, but especially with Thielen gone, Stephon Diggs, lest we forget, 2 or 3 years ago, was an absolute stud, and he's always been consistent. So he's someone I would definitely hold on to.
Okay.
With Thielen having a soft tissue issue, I really do want to hold on to Diggs. He's going to be the number one there. And even when Thielen comes back, you don't know how long it's going to take for him to be 100% or if he's going to re-injure. So it's a guy I want to hang on to. The only reason you could sell him on the back of 2 games is if you're good at wide receiver and need a running back. And then he's a guy you could sell and try and get you, a number 2, like a high end number 2 running back.
Yeah, I could see that if you went 0 RB and you've got, 2 stud wide receivers and he was like your 3rd or 4th round pick, maybe you could get something. I could see that. We kind of talked about Devonta Freeman and what we're doing with the Falcons. Latavius Murray, obviously, if you could sell him, sell him. I don't think anyone's going to buy that he's suddenly a big part of that rushing game. As soon as Kamara's healthy, he's back into full-time role. Corey Davis may be another guy, flash. I don't know if anyone's going to buy him. Austin Hooper is a guy that I was thinking about selling. If Matt Ryan misses time, how badly does his value take a hit, if it takes a hit at all?
I don't think it'll take a hit at all on the sole fact that tight ends have always been security blankets for backup quarterbacks. And Hooper's extremely talented.
Does Matt Schaub love his Does Matt Schaub love his tight ends?
Texans tight ends used to be very relevant.
Yeah.
And Matt Schaub was a quarterback there for a good while. And I'm pretty sure was Schaub on Green Bay? Or am I thinking of Flynn?
You're thinking of Flynn.
Yeah, Flynn.
I'm thinking of Flynn.
Yeah, Schaub's bounced back and forth, but he's been a Falcons backup for a good while.
Oh, and if really quick, who did you just mention that I wanted to interject on? Oh, Latavius Murray. Yep. With this injury to Alvin Kamara, I do expect Latavius Murray's work to be upticked. And not like crazy, but I could see almost going back to the Ingram split because they want to keep Kamara healthy for the playoffs.
So you think he gets
need him
10 to 15 carries a game or something?
I could see Kamara being in for probably 60% of the snaps, handling all the passing down work. But Latavius really showed that he has the ability to be a real threat for them as a runner.
Is that enough?
So I could see.
But is that enough for him? He's always been a guy to me that needs 20 plus carries to really put together. He's a warm up. He's got to get warmed up kind of guy.
He is a kind of got to get warmed up kind of guy, but he's also the kind of guy where if that D line's tired, he's going to exploit it. So I could see him getting 10 to 15 carries and some goal line work on the sole fact that, like I said, Kamara already got hurt, and they really want him for the playoff run. So they could be a little more cautious with him.
I want to jump into guys who are playing tonight. The Jets are getting blown out 24-0 right now against the Patriots, and it's not halftime yet. Darnold looks like trash, and their wide receivers look bad because of it. But I'm a guy who buys the guys 1 week before, so next week they play the Jags, not necessarily an ideal matchup. I am buying Anderson and Crowder and even Darnold right now because after that the schedule opens up into the Dolphins, the Giants, the Redskins, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Dolphins.
Yeah, and you talked about that last week.
I did, and
nice.
It's happened exactly what I wanted to happen tonight. Is happening.
Yep.
The Jets are currently getting devalued. Go get the Jets.
Yeah, and it's in there. I'm sure there's going to be garbage time points. So
Bell is not getting devalued. Just a heads up, because Bell is actually still he's running extremely hard, looking very productive. But I agree with the wide receivers. I would definitely go if you can get Anderson for a deal. Maybe you could honestly try to swing the Allen for Anderson and Crowder. Like Allen and a throwaway for Anderson and Crowder. If someone loaded up on Jets players.
Okay. Which they'd make a mistake to do. But like I said, it's happening. So they'll look at this Patriots. People will look at this Patriots game, look at next week they have the Jags, realize that next week's not going to be great either, and you may be able to get a little bit of value there. So those are guys I'm targeting. So I'm taking my trash and trying to get those mid-level players right now to get some startable pieces.
You're the garbage man.
Yes, sir.
You are. let's talk real quick. Let's take back to Thursday night. We kind of already talked about how we value Kansas City, and I want to talk about Denver because they were looking better up until Thursday. They looked awful. And it's not like they had a ton of injuries to blame it on. It just they looked awful. So is this an anomaly? I mean, I thought the Denver team was getting better. I was excited about the defense. I was excited about the run game. Now I don't know what to make of it. So is this a buying situation in Denver? Like you might be able to get Emmanuel Sanders. He hasn't been spectacular as he was. You might be able to get a piece of that running game. You're saying don't buy Denver.
I love Emmanuel Sanders, and I said at the beginning of the season, I've actually dropped him in a league, and he got scooped immediately, which I'm fine with. Not Philip Rivers. Joe Flacco has shown what he is, and this is what he was on the Ravens. He's a one-receiver quarterback, and he needs a run game to get established. And if Hillman and Lindsey can't establish that run game, their team's done.
You wish Ronnie Hillman was still on that team. You talking about Freeman? You said Hillman.
Freeman.
You wish it was Ronnie Hillman.
Sorry, yeah, I do like Hillman. He probably was better.
I
than
know
both
you
of them.
did.
But he is better than both of them. That being said, if Freeman and Lindsey can't establish that run game early, then they're done. Sutton is the only thing that I would even consider owning on that team, and that being like besides the running backs. But like I said, Flacco is a one receiver quarterback. It's what he's been his whole career.
You don't see him getting
Sanders.
Like
I said, I dropped him, and it'll be so fluky. You throw him in your flex spot. 1 week he'll get you 1 point. 1 week he'll get you 27.
Yeah.
But for every 3 weeks I get one, that 1 week that's 27 isn't worth it.
Gotcha. Jason's feel the same way about the Broncos? I feel like you got a different
that offensive line's bad. I have Lindsey in a couple spots, and I thought, playing up against the Chiefs, you looked at it like a good running chance for them, but man, Freeman got you the touchdown, so you feel okay about that. Lindsey got you squat. Neither one of them did well in the passing game. I'm kind of with Max on this because their offensive line looked terrible against the Chiefs defense that hasn't really scared anybody in a couple of years. So I'm kind of with Max because that offensive line looked lost. Almost got Flacco killed that game, and so if they can't get a running game going, Sutton's it for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not as panicked on Denver. I mean, these Thursday games, and it was a weird game, but I'm not as panicked. I still think there's some buying opportunity there. There's a couple other teams I talked about last week, teams I wanted to get away from. The Vikings was one, and maybe I was a little bit too early on that, but I think that they played a Lions, and it seemed like the Lions just kind of fell apart in this game. I know Max has been kind of excited about the Lions during the show so far. I'm not on that train, but Vikings, is this somebody that you guys think continues to play this well? Can they continue to play this well?
I think so.
The Vikings or the Lions?
The Vikings.
The Vikings, yeah, for sure. I think Vikings have a chance to play this well. And anytime you have somebody like Cook that you have to respect that much, and a quarterback who's, he's not great in big games, but in these matchups he's got coming up, he's going to be fine. And you've got weapons there. I want to buy him just because, it's mostly because Cook is doing well and has to draw defenses up. And that's good because you got somebody like Thielen when he's healthy, and you've got Diggs. I'm buying that they can keep doing it.
They're quite literally, or arguably, the most balanced team in the NFL. Because with if Thielen's healthy, their weapons, in my eyes, are better than Green Bay. But it's kind of Green Bay-esque where you have to respect that run game. And if you're not respecting the run game, they'll burn you on the ground. But as soon as you move up to stop the run, they're going to throw the ball. So the Vikings, even with Thielen getting hurt, I don't see it slowing down.
All right. Another team I was kind of off on and wanted to get out of was the Baltimore Ravens. Again, maybe I was too early on this one, but it still looked like the Lamar Jackson show to me. And heaven forbid if a defense that's better than what he's been facing this season so far decides to key in on him and shut him down. I don't know what else besides Andrews and Ingram on that team is worth anything. I don't know. You guys still feeling good about the Ravens for the rest of the year?
It's Lamar Jackson or bust. the Seahawks made a mistake by not just keeping someone as a spy the entire time.
Right. I mean, that seems to be the key to slowing that team down. Like, that's just what you do. How do you not do that?
Brown when he's healthy, but, he's small, so he hasn't shown that he can hold up. He came into the league and into the season injured and hasn't played the last couple games. But when Marquise Brown's there, he's a guy I want to take a flyer on just because all he needs is one catch for 80 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
But the rest of that team, and aside from Andrews, the rest of that team's a sell.
Here's another one.
Is Brown? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is Brown the new Torrey Smith? Like, is that like literally what he is?
Maybe.
Just that guy you throw in because every week he's going to get that one catch for 60 yards and maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's if that's what you want. So, yeah, Brown when he's healthy, and then Murray, and that's it. Oh, not Murray.
Ingram.
Jackson, sorry.
Yeah, Jackson. Okay. Here's one that maybe some people will not have thought about, but they beat up on the Falcons this week. The Rams are a team that I kind of want to get away from. Still, I know there's a lot of offensive weapons there. Goff, to me, still didn't look great. And Gurley, had a nice game. Henderson looked better than Gurley at times. And I'm concerned that if I don't get off the Gurley train sooner than later, I'm going to regret it by the end of the season. What do you guys think about the Rams? Can I keep riding them, or is it time to kind of move off?
So I keep Gurley unless you get a decent offer, because despite the fact that he's only looked okay, they've shown that they want to give him the ball more than what I think they potentially should. Henderson has looked good in spots, but they don't give him the ball a lot. Yeah. So if they want to keep forcing him the ball in the passing game and they want to keep running him, even though he's only been half as effective as normal, I'll take a half effective Gurley than most of the running backs in the league. I'd keep Kupp, obviously, because he's, to me, far and away their best receiver at this point. And then after that, that's all I want on this team. I'm out on Woods. I'm out on Cooks.
See, I don't think that Kupp's the best in their team. I think he's the most targeted. And for a team with all this talent, I feel like Goff doesn't know what to do. If that makes sense to you guys.
No, it does. You can see it. You can see it on the field. He just looks like
he looks lost the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying a new offense this year because Gurley's hurt. So they're trying to change things up, and Goff's getting overwhelmed. But it's very odd. I'm hoping, because I do like the Rams as an organization. I think what they've done in the last few years as far as team building is amazing. I really hope they kind of settle it down and figure it out. But yeah, as of right now, I wouldn't be dumping my players. But you're going to keep Gurley. I'd probably go after Henderson, try to get him, and start Cooper Kupp. Robert Woods is a bye-week fill-in or a flex.
Yeah, and Goff is a quarterback.
Cooks, to me,
Goff is a quarterback streamer to me. Like I started him this week because of the matchup, but I'm a little bit worried to start him against good
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I'm worried to start him against good pass rushes.
Oh yeah, but like I said, I dropped Goff for Kirk Cousins last week, and it worked out great for me. It's just one of those things where it's a really good team, and it doesn't make sense why they're bad, because even their O-line isn't terrible. It's not the best, but it's really not that bad. I just feel like I think they implemented a new offense, and he's just not adjusting to it well.
All right, Max, 2.5 minutes, 5 minutes left. You get half of it. Give me your hottest hot takes. Who you buying, who you selling, ad drops, anything we missed.
All right, my hottest hot takes. Selling anyone on the Broncos. If I have Sutton, I want top dollar for him right now. I'm going to try to buy Allen Robinson. He might be at a slight premium because of the good game, but he's still going to be lower than he should be. He's going against the Chargers this week. It's going to be a great game for him. Mitch might actually have time in the pocket to throw the ball. I'm going again after all my Eagles players. They're at a buy low right now. Because of name recognition, I don't see them getting much lower. And with the Redskins going against the Vikings, I definitely want to pick up. I'm going to butcher his name again. Johnson.
Okay.
Adam Thielen's backup.
Yes.
That's his name.
Fair enough.
Adam Thielen's backup. I'd want him, definitely.
Yeah. For the record, it is Olabisi Johnson. Olabisi.
And
Yeah.
Ty Johnson over McKissick, because McKissick was on Seattle. He had opportunities, and he couldn't get it done, and that was a better running offense than Detroit. He will be a Theo Riddick-esque player, but when it comes to crunch time, it's going to be Ty Johnson as the running back I want until Kieran Johnson's healthy.
Perfect. All right. 2 minutes and a half exact. Jason, you're up. 2.5 minutes. Hot takes.
All right. Sell your Falcons. We've talked about it earlier. That schedule is absolutely brutal. There's not a running back on that team worth a damn going forward. Anybody not named Julio Jones or Matt Ryan or Hooper, but you want to get out of Ridley, you want to get out of Sanu. There are no running backs on that team that you want to play. The Eagles are a buy low for me, but in 3 weeks, we talked about this too. They've got a bad schedule in the next couple weeks. They're not going to look good, but then it opens up for them. You're going to want Alshon in a couple weeks. You're going to want Carson Wentz in a couple weeks, and they're tight ends. I think Goddard, the hottest take I've got going is I think Goddard's in position to take that job away from Ertz.
Oh, really?
It's a hot take. Goddard to me has looked better than Ertz when he's on the field. Ertz to me, it's about that time. They drafted him for a reason. I think they're going to get out of Ertz when he starts making that big money on his contract. Goddard's the guy for me. Go grab Goddard.
I love it. There was some talk about Ertz being traded too, and they denied it. They denied trades about A.J. Green too, but you never know what'll happen week to week. All right, we'll be back next week. I want to thank Jason and Max for being on the show again. You can reach them both on Twitter. You can find Jason at FLDRMILBARGE, Max SW23 on Twitter, and both on the Sleeper app, BFTG, Dr. Mill, and SW Max, or at Max SW. I don't know. My name is Producer Steve. I'm at Toledo Radio on Twitter and at SW Steve on the Sleeper app. We'll be back next week. Tune in Tuesday for the live show, the Waiver Wire, and Wednesday for the Mail Sack. Thanks for listening. Good luck.
Peace.